my X-Men. This is Uncanny, the mutant musings of Matt and Siz. It's the show where we discuss Marvel's Uncanny X-Men comic, issue by issue, all the way from 1975's giant-size X-Men #1 to the present day. My name is Matt. I write and draw Steamroller Man, a comedy superhero comic which you can read online for free at steamrollerman.com. And this is my co-host Siz, publisher, promoter, and founder of Comex Studios Australia. You can find everything Comex at comex.net.au. That's comx.net.au. Hello, Siz. How are you today?
Hello, Matt. I'm excellent. How is yourself?
I'm good. All things considered. Although you might notice that I'm not wearing a usual brightly colored shirt.
Yeah.
I'm in dark colors because I am in mourning today for this comic. I did not like this comic.
Oh, God, thank God it wasn't just me. I thought that was going to be my first comment. It's like, I'm really not looking forward to this one because
me neither.
I had to force myself through it. I wanted to stop reading. I wanted to skim and just get to the goddamn end.
Yes.
And even the ending was
it's so many things that, I mean, I don't want to be a hater, but I hated this comic. I can't. There's no other way to say it. Like, I thought this was...
I'd have to say, I don't know if I hated it, but I was disappointed, and I just didn't want to read it. So that probably is hate when you think about it. So
I think what was so shocking to me was that the previous issue that we talked about, number 105, was so good. Like, that was such a high point. And last episode, I was saying to you that, like, this is my favorite issue that we've talked about so far. Like, of the new X-Men run, this is the best one, in my opinion. And then to go from that to this, it's literally from the sublime to the ridiculous, because I thought there were no... like, let's say very few redeeming features about this issue. Like, I just thought the story made no sense. The art was like average at best. So we should say this is issue number 106 that we're talking about.
Yeah, it was August 1977. Why do I keep saying 1990? 1977. We have Chris Claremont as the writer still. Very disappointing, Junior Chris. We've got Bill... Oh, hang on. I was too quick.
There's a bit of criticize.
Bill Mantlo is also the writer. So I'm assuming he wrote the main news story.
Yes.
And Chris Claremont wrote the bits that Dave Cockrum drew, which is like the front page and I think a few panels at the end.
Correct.
And Bob Brown is the penciler for the middle, I'm guessing, because it's not Dave Cockrum's. You can tell that.
Yep.
Tom Sutton did the inks for everyone.
Yep.
And Joe Rosen did the lettering. Andy Yenchals did the colors.
Not sure quite how to pronounce that one.
Yeah, I'm not sure. I'm bad with names anyway, so I'm probably wrong. And Archie Goodwin is the editor again. Now, if I remember correctly I looked ahead. I think this might be Archie Goodwin. I think this is Archie's last book, if I remember correctly.
Really?
I could be wrong.
Oh, okay. That's interesting.
Because I went quite a few books ahead, so I might be mixing up where it stopped and started. But yeah, so that's the people who are involved. Sorry, Bill. Sorry, Bob. Not a fan of your work. But I mean, this could be a rush job. This could have been a bit of a, oh no, we haven't got the other story ready. We've got to throw something in there, because this does feel like it's just been thrown in there for no good reason.
Yes. Yeah. So I did a little bit of research online after I read this, because I really had the same feeling as you did. Like, this has to be a fill-in issue. So one thing that our viewers may or may not know is that in professional comics back in the day, and probably still at this point in time as well, Marvel and DC would have what they call inventory stories, which were sort of generic stories that didn't fit into particular continuity. They were just one-shot kind of stories that could just be dropped in at any point in the run. So they would be used in cases of emergency if the artist or writer or any member of the team was not going to hit the deadline for the next issue. They already had a story ready to go that they could just drop in. And this one felt, as you said, exactly like that kind of situation must have happened. And so I did some research online, and on the Marvel Wiki website, for this issue, it actually says that in the letter column of the print version of this issue, which we don't have access to on the Marvel app that we read these issues on, Chris Claremont actually said in the letter column that they had this story done, I think it was a couple of years before this went to print, which means it would have been, because this is still early in the run. Like, this would only be like 2 years since, even with the bi-monthly schedule, this would be this would make it about 2 years since Giant Size X-Men #1, which means this story must have just been prepared in advance. And so I think that explains why. So you are correct, by the way. Bill Mantlo and Bob Brown did the middle part, like the flashback, because this whole story is basically a flashback to an earlier point in time in the X-Men. It's basically flashes back to, it says on page 2 of the issue, it takes place after X-Men number 96. X-Men 96 was the issue that we covered with Kierok the Demon. That was the one where Cyclops was wandering through the forest in the grounds of the mansion. He came across that big stone obelisk, and then that broke apart and this big demon came out. So that's where this story takes place, right after that. So it takes place right after Thunderbird died in issue 95.
Yeah, of course.
And so, yeah, that's it was, not worked on by Cockrum and Claremont. It was a story written by Bill Mantlo and drawn by Bob Brown, possibly in a hurry, just to have it ready in case of, break glass in case of emergency.
Yeah.
And then Chris Claremont and Dave Cockrum just handled the sort of bookend pages of like the beginning before we go into the flashback, and then the very, very end of the story when we come out of the flashback. And so that explains a lot about, like, not only like, the kind of subpar feel to this story, but also this storyline repeats beat for beat, like it's exactly the same story.
Yeah, that's what got me.
X-Men number 100. Like, we just had, like, this is 6 issues after the big X-Men 100 milestone issue, and the plot of X-Men 100 was the old X-Men return to fight the new X-Men, but there's a twist. They're not really the old X-Men. That's exactly what happens in this issue.
Yeah, that's what happens to this issue.
So that was one major thing where I was like, really?
The repeating was... I tried to forgive it, though, for the fact that even though it's only 6 issues later, this has been every 2 months, so that's a year later for the reader.
That's true. That's true.
So it's like, yeah, you might be able to get away with it a year later, but I'm still like, to me, it was only a couple of weeks later, so it's really bugging me.
I think that's one thing that I don't know whether it's an advantage or a disadvantage or both for us, because we're reading an issue or 2 issues and sometimes, as you were saying, you've gone,
I've gone right ahead.
A few issues now, and we're reading it week by week, so we're reading it at a much more compressed timeline than people would have read these issues back when they were originally being published, which I think, that does kind of affect your patience with a story, and you're not going to be as attuned to, like, hang on, they just did this like 6 issues ago, or hang on, they just contradicted something they said 2 issues ago. If that was like 2 or 3 months or 4 months in the case of a bi-monthly schedule, you probably wouldn't remember that, like, but 2 issues before this, Cyclops said the exact opposite of what he's saying now. Like those kind of things, you just sort of
you wouldn't notice,
and you're not as sensitive to them, I think. So, what do we have to say about anything about this page in particular?
Oh no, I just had it on this page. I find it weird that Firelord, that's his name, Firelord suddenly cares about Xavier. And I'm like, hey, weren't you here to kill him? What's going on? I don't understand. The human cried out, is he in pain? It's like, hang on, isn't that who you're after? So that was a bit weird. Right. That's still Claremont, so I don't know what to say about Claremont there.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, it's
weird.
But then, I don't know. I want to go right to the end of the story. So I find that a weird ending as well.
Do we have to talk about this one?
We have to talk about this one. I really had to force myself to read this. I mean, this part here I was fine with. It was like, okay, that's cool. Yeah, typical, in the danger room. This is getting a bit old, but whatever.
Yeah, one thing I'll say about this page, that drawing of Colossus in panel 2 up in the right upper corner, I actually really, there's a couple of nice drawings of Colossus by Bob Brown in this issue, and those were sort of like the saving grace for me in this whole comic. Those are the few things that I was holding on to. Was like, well, at least Colossus looks kind of cool in a couple of panels, but otherwise I was just like, ugh, this is terrible. One thing I wondered about this page, where a absolutely gigantic girder is being dropped on Wolverine. So this is in the danger room. They're doing their usual like practice and got all the hazards happening, but it kind of made me wonder, like, who's going to clean that up? Like, because it drops towards Wolverine, and Colossus dashes, to Wolverine's rescue. It hits Colossus and breaks over his back. But now there's all this debris, which I'm assuming is like incredibly heavy iron or steel.
Well, it looks like Colossus on cleanup duty.
Exactly. You broke it, you bought it. But yeah, it just made me wonder, like, do they have robots to clean, because you would think, like, oh, the next person who wants to use the danger room is like, what the hell, guys? Can you clean up after yourselves?
See, they fixed that in the later stuff, but yeah, in the older comics, it's like, what the?
Right. Yeah. Once the danger room,
like the danger room becomes like a Star Trek holodeck.
Yes, totally.
It's all magic.
which works magic. Much better for story purposes, because you don't have to think about, like, well, how would this happen? How would that happen?
Yeah.
But that hasn't taken place in the continuity at this point.
No.
At this point, it's still as far as I know, and I assume, it's still all mechanical. So
It's all very
that
dangerous
just made
too.
me
There's no safety protocols.
right. True. That's true. Yeah.
This stuff is actually life and death.
So yeah, it's more like
Imagine
a
losing an X-Men in the danger room. It's like, oh,
yes.
that was a little
Yes,
bit
it's
too
more
much.
like an extreme occupational health and safety hazard kind of workplace.
That's why Wolverine wears the high vis. Now it makes sense.
Right. Yes. Bright yellow. Yes, that's right. So on this
One of the
page,
things- speaking
oh,
of
go ahead.
Wolverine, yeah, I was going to
Yeah.
say, speaking of Wolverine, I found his design a bit odd in this. His
Yes.
whatever you call things on his head.
Yeah.
I found them a bit odd, but now that you've said it was done earlier, they seem to experiment in the earlier comics with that look. So I guess it
That's
wasn't
true.
nailed down yet. So
Yeah.
I'll forgive him for that now that I know that.
Yeah, I mean, this could reasonably have been drawn before Dave Cockrum was really even too far into his run, where he really did kind of establish that wider kind of flared out
Yeah,
mask on
rather than
Wolverine. And
straight
this
up.
this is almost looking a bit more like Batman.
Beat me to it. That was my next comment.
Sorry. Sorry. But yeah, I agree. The way that Wolverine's being drawn does look a little wonky.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think you're right. I think it's that it's so early in the run that he probably didn't have much material to go off of in
Of
terms
course, because
of
there wouldn't have been much Wolverine.
reference, Yeah. So
Because the original one looks quite a bit different, the one in the Hulk comics.
right. Yeah, that's true.
It's like his mask is very different.
Completely different design, yeah.
Yeah.
So, yeah, but in general, like, I just think, like, a lot of the art on this page looks really rushed. I'm just not a fan. Even the inking is very rushed looking. It doesn't have a refined sort of look to a lot of the line work. It's very rough looking. So, yeah.
And we've gone back to... So this would explain why we've gone back to Storm having the cat-like look, which she sort of has drifted
Good
away
point.
from in the last couple
Yes.
of issues. So
Yeah.
that explains that. So I was wondering... I was like, why have we gone backwards?
Yeah.
But this panel 4 really got to me. It's like, what is happening to Cyclops' arm? Seriously. He looks like he's in the most uncomfortable pose there.
Yeah,
Could
that's
it be me?
bizarre.
So
It looks
almost
like
looks
his
creepy.
arm is kind of like up like this or something.
Storm,
maybe?
don't make me do it.
Right. Storm's off panel, twisting his arm
Yeah,
behind
twisting
his
his arm,
back.
saying, "Tell Wolverine off."
Yeah.
But yeah, so we'll go to the next page because
All right.
and that's where one of the X-Men
Go ahead.
appear. And I'm like,
Yeah.
not this story again. But yeah, like I said, it's only been 6 issues for us, which is 6 weeks, and it's been a
Right.
year for all the people reading. So maybe it's not so bad for at the
Right.
time. 77. This was still like, oh, that's what happened like a year ago. And Charles like, that's what happened a month and a half ago.
Yeah, exactly. So they look up and, so they're just having a bit of conversation here. Lots of talking, and then it's just like really ugly drawings, and even the panel layouts are not exciting. It's all just like panels which are the same sort of shape and size, one after another. And then in the bottom right panel 5 on this page, Angel appears, but it's like they never read an X-Men comic, because Angel flies by flapping, like his wings are actually like birds' wings, and they flap to lift him up. How is he going to flap his wings when he's leaning? This just looks like he's floating in the air, because
Yeah.
he's leaning with his hand on a wall. He couldn't do that and still flap his wings
No.
because he's too close to the wall.
But there is
So
like
just
little motion marks. The wings are moving slightly.
right. It was just like,
So I don't
what
think that's
is
keeping him
this?
afloat.
God. It was
But
this
I have
this was the
noticed a lot of
point
people
where
have troubles.
go ahead.
I was going to say a lot of people seem to have troubles with Angel. I've seen that in previous issues where he's flying. It's like his wings aren't really in a position for him to be flying right now,
Right.
and it happens a lot. So I think there's a bit of forgiveness, but this would have to be the worst. Yeah, leaning up against the wall, no room for the wing to move, and he's just floating there. And it's like I don't think that's his power.
This was where it really started to annoy me because I was like, what the hell? How's he flying
Yeah,
in that pose? Doesn't work. So then, we go to the next page. And this story takes place, as we were saying, this story takes place before issue 100, where the team fought the robot. In issue 100, they were like robotic versions,
robotic with their powers somehow.
Which had their powers, and I think weren't they actually like sentinels or something like that?
They were like a sentinel. Yeah, I think that was what they gave off, like advanced sentinels or something. I think he called them.
Something like that. Yeah,
and it wasn't until Wolverine kicked in with his senses that he realized, hang on, this ain't human.
Right. So
gutted Marvel.
This is where I'm trying to work out. Like, my mind started like just spinning at this point because we're reading this after issue 100, but this is telling us this took place before issue 100, and I'm trying to like go like, okay, so they already met these copies of the earlier X-Men before they met them in issue 100, and yet in issue 100 they didn't say, hey, we just saw you guys 6 months ago or whatever, like it just, none of this makes, it's just, as this issue goes further and further,
jammed in there,
it makes less and less sense. Like, it digs a deeper and deeper hole for itself in terms of just like, what is happening? What is the logic of this entire story? Like, it just does not work for me.
No, it didn't work for me. I had to go over it about 2 or 3 times to read all the bits I missed the first time because I was just like, oh, let's get this over with. I'm skipping all these words and going to the next page. So many words.
It's a very talky too. Very talky.
I was disappointed that Iceman was the solid ice version rather than the snowman version because they are all wearing the old uniform.
That's true.
So that would have been nice.
Yeah,
but
good point.
Wouldn't have saved the
Good
comic,
catch.
but it would have been nice.
Yeah.
Okay, what happens in the next page? Hang on, what happened there? Beast lifts up Cyclops, which is almost to the roof, which I found funny because then Angel flies him up to the roof and drops him. He's like, oh, this could kill me.
Right.
How high is this roof?
Again, none of this makes any sense. Ain't like is that what? How did Beast get down far enough to reach his belt? Because he picks him up by his belt.
Yeah. Stretched.
So is that trapeze like an extending kind of trapeze that can kind of lower him down and then it comes back? It just, none of this makes any sense. It's just images that really have the barest connection to each other. It's just awful.
And they almost go up against the same guys too, which I find interesting, as they did in 100.
Oh, yeah, the same matches. Yeah.
Almost the same.
Yeah, I think that was another thing that bugged me because it's like, it's the same exact beats. It's not even like mixing up the the matches with the characters.
100 from this. Maybe they use this
I
as
don't-
inspiration for 100.
I
So maybe
have a
100
feeling.
more.
I have a feeling you might be right. I think that it's a possibility that they saw this inventory story and thought, hey, that's actually kind of a cool idea. We should do that for issue 100.
Yeah.
Then not thinking they would ever reuse the original inventory story, and they sort of like caught themselves in a trap sort of thing. Maybe.
Story itself bugged me, but the way they use the story at the end, which I won't spoil yet until we get there, that bugged me more than the story itself.
Right.
So we're on the next page. He's throwing. Oh, this is one where he's throwing Cyclops down. He thinks he's going to go to his death. Banshee saved him. And then we've got Storm and Marvel Girl up against each other again. I don't know what's going on with those red balls.
So this is the only interesting thing on this page that I thought was that Storm senses, Storm's thinking to herself, like, oh, I sense no life in Jean Grey, like,
because they're friends.
Yeah, I sense no life about Jean now, as if she possessed humanity's form, but not its substance.
Nice.
So, okay.
Like last time.
Yeah, exactly.
That's the same as 100.
Yeah.
She senses it that time as well.
Yeah,
This
and
is a demon with
Iceman
the death in her eyes.
and Wolverine also senses, which this is the exact same story beat as well, because this is what happened in issue 100. Wolverine couldn't smell the same sense that these original X-Men normally would have, and so that's how in issue 100 he deduced that these are fakes. It's just beat for beat the exact same story. It's ridiculous.
If we go to the next one, oh gee, did that happen before?
Yep.
In ice cracks it open. Oh gee, that's familiar.
I mean, I would really love to find the original issues that had the letter column reacting to this issue to see what the readers thought of this issue, because I'm sure they would have gotten letters saying, what the hell was that? This was exactly the same story as issue 100.
Yeah.
So, yeah, it's just, more fighting. Yeah, blah, blah. More fighting, more blah, blah, talking. It's just, nothing means anything. Yeah. I get what you mean. This is really a slog. Like, at this point, you just, really just get me through this, please. Like,
get me to the end.
How much more? Yeah, how much more of this?
I'm really glad. I thought I was going to be alone in saying this about the issue, but yeah.
Oh no, I am right there with you.
Yeah,
so on this page, go ahead.
I was just going to say, this is where he does one of his sonic blasts, Banshee, and he falls to the ground, seeming unconscious, Angel that is.
Yep.
And then he suddenly comes to. And, And Cyclops is all, hang on, you were just out cold a second ago.
Yeah.
Then he's like, hang on, earplugs wouldn't have saved you from that. Oh, that's on the next page, sorry.
Yeah, no, but it's a bizarre... I wrote down, this is a bizarre strategy. It makes very little sense about this. So he's pretending to be hurt by Banshee's sonic scream. He falls to the ground, and then Cyclops runs over to him, but Cyclops already knows that these are... Well, maybe Cyclops doesn't know that this is a fake version of Angel, but he knows that they're attacking them. So, but then Cyclops runs over to him to work out if he's okay, and nothing makes any sense. This doesn't make any sense.
No.
Also, that panel 4, what is going on here? Where is the ground?
Like, yeah, I don't know. Very far away.
Like, Cyclops looks like he's leaping through the air because the ground is underneath Angel's butt because he's fallen to the ground. So
I didn't even realize
this is
that.
either like, yeah, so that means the ground is right under where Angel is. So unless the camera is very, very high, like the position of Cyclops makes no sense in perspective.
Stuck to the wall, it looks like. He's
either stuck to the wall or leaping through the air.
I will say you.
Just not like, this is so frustrating to read.
I didn't even notice the sound effect that it hit the ground. I just assumed he was still in the air because of the perspective of Cyclops.
Yeah,
wow. That panel makes so much less sense.
Yeah, the sound effect makes it, clarifies that he's on the ground. So so then Angel's ruse worked. He gets Cyclops in a hammerlock. Cyclops is saying, "A hammerlock, I can't twist out without breaking my arm." And then Colossus comes to his rescue, and again, same thing in this top left panel. Where's the ground? There's no background in any of these panels, and the characters are just drawn anywhere there's space. It really bugs me as an artist that another artist is not, taking the care and time to work this stuff out. But maybe this was a rush job. It really seems like it was a rush job.
Now you say that they're not doing backgrounds. That's usually a sign.
Yeah. So on this page, Angel still has Cyclops in the lock, and he pulls Cyclops's visor off. My question was, why can't Cyclops just close his eyes?
Yeah, I know. That's what I thought in the last panel. I'm going, why isn't he closing his eyes?
Yeah.
Or second last panel, sorry, because the last panel he's getting Angel. But the second
and
last,
also,
he's poor old Colossus, and it's like, just close your damn eyes.
Right. Also, remember this page because there's something that I want to bring up when we get to the end of the story where it's where this is all kind of explained what is actually happening, kind of. Where this part still doesn't make any sense to me, even with the explanation. But I'll bring that up later.
Yep.
So, yeah, let's go to the next. Let's just get through this, man. Okay, so here we have Beast versus Nightcrawler, which I think, again, is the same matchup that they did in X-Men 100. The two acrobatic members facing off against each other. I did not know that Beast could, break the plaster of walls and hang on with his toes.
Yeah, I didn't know that either.
But I guess, in light of the in light of the eventual explanation of what is actually going on here, maybe that doesn't matter. But
they can do anything when you think about it.
Yeah. As I'm reading it, before knowing what's going on, it's just this issue is page after page of I'm just going, what?
Yeah.
What's going on? Hang on, this character doesn't have those powers, and this person can't do that, and why would this person do that? And oh god, this was a tough read.
Wow. I just read the last panel in this one quickly.
Yeah.
I think I must have skipped this the first time around because I just couldn't handle it. I didn't realize that the beam went straight through Angel. I thought it hit him. But it says there it went straight through Angel. It wasn't there. I'm like, this would have made more sense if I read this panel properly.
Right. Well, it's just another, so this is like the third character, I think, who is realizing in their own mind, like, oh, hang on, something's wrong. These aren't the real X-Men. So, yeah, whatever.
Let's go to the next one.
So on this page, this is the Colossus drawing on panel 2.
Yeah,
this
that's
Colossus
awesome,
drawing. I liked the way that he's playing with the form, and it's a bit more like exaggerated. Like he's really pushed one leg really forward and the other leg really far back. So
it's really cool.
It's got like this extreme foreshortening. I really liked that part. This was one of the few, I won't say high points, but let's say saving graces of this issue was this drawing of Colossus.
And the next one just ruins that feeling. Because you're like, why is Kurt looking like that? Why is he attacking him as a frog? I don't get it.
Yeah.
Why isn't he like Superman or something, ready to punch him?
It's just like so many awkwardly drawn poses. It's just it's really uninspired work, I think.
But in all fairness, I will say, if the rest of this comic hadn't bugged me so much, maybe that wouldn't have bugged me. But because the rest, it put me in a mood where I just started picking.
Right. Yeah. So let's go to the
Beast. Then we've got
so
we find out something where Xavier's trying to save them.
Right. So this is, again, what a bizarre, like for a splash page, like you're using a full page for this image, and the biggest thing on the page is a character's back. It's not even an interesting view of Angel. We're on his back. That's the most boring pose, the most boring angle to show a character. Unless you're deliberately trying to hide their identity, then you have to be on their back. But otherwise, much more interesting to show the character's face. It's just, oh my gosh.
It was what got to me was Cyclops doing Tarzan. I'm like,
swinging on a rope. What is going on?
Where did he come from that the rope's high enough to get up to where Angel is? Did he quickly climb a ladder up to a special rope they had at top and then swings at him, hoping he'll hit him while he's flying around? Oh, dear.
And then we have an inset panel in the bottom right corner of Professor X, but he looks like he's melting. You know, like his body looks like it's all kind of spreading out towards the ground. It's so bizarre.
What I don't understand about this panel the most, is not just the melting, is that he's in full suit, tie, shoes, and he's apparently crawled out of bed to save them. I'm like, what's going on here?
He's crawled out of bed with utmost urgency, but he still took the time to dress himself in a 3-piece suit and shoes and socks to crawl on the ground.
It's like, didn't take the time to get the wheelchair, but did take the time to get dressed.
Yes, exactly.
Sorry, the fact he's in those clothes it didn't throw me here, but when I go to the next page and he says he's just come out of his slumber, I'm like, what?
Right.
what is he sleeping in his sleep for?
Right.
Yeah, we'll get off that page and go to the so-called explanation.
Oh, yeah. Okay.
Xavier just stops them with his mind powers and makes them...
Okay. So here's where, as I was saying before, every page just makes it more and more confusing. At this point, I'm going, what so because Professor X says, like, oh, I created these people, and then they pop out of existence, and so now I'm going like, what? He's a telepath. He can't just create people like, you know, the Beyonder or Impossible Man, or, you know, these more magical kind of characters in the Marvel universe. He doesn't have the power to generate matter out of nowhere. So I was just incredibly confused at this. I was just like, I don't know what the hell is happening now. And I don't like being confused by comics. Like, in my opinion, like, a good comic will not confuse the reader unless it's deliberately trying to, you know,
lead it one way and then go the
other. Exactly. Like, throw the reader off the scent, like a red herring in a mystery or something, and it gives you one explanation. But even in those cases, the explanation it gives you still needs to make sense within the logic of the story. You should never at any point be going, you're throwing up your hands going like, I don't know what the hell's going on anymore. If that's happening, I feel that is a complete failure on the part of the comic storytellers, because the reader, you've lost the reader at that point. The reader is completely out of the story. So I'm at this point, I'm ready to just be like, I actually contemplated emailing you and saying, can we just skip this one, because I really don't like it. But then I thought, oh no, it might be fun to just like do a complete like dissection of, like, a merciless dissection of like, okay, here's everything that's wrong with this issue. But I was ready to just throw this. Well, I didn't want to throw my iPad away.
I really went through it like 3 times to try to force myself to read the bits I skipped the one before, and then try to read the bits I skipped the one before, and I had to read it. Couldn't get into it.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think I ever was absorbed by the story, but I had to read it a couple of times to work out what did I just, like, I read it through once and I was like, what did I just read? And so then I went back and read it again to work out, like, did I miss something? Because to me, this made no sense. Let me go back and see whether I did miss, maybe I did skim over some vital, word balloon or thought balloon where it kind of explained what's going on. But then the second time through, it was like, no, it was, I got it all the first time. It just doesn't really make sense.
You read it differently than me then, because I was like, first couple of pages and then went, I just want to get through this. Skim. Okay, somewhere along the line, this is going to get good. Skim.
Well, you'd hope, right? You've got your fingers crossed. So,
the only good redeeming thing of this page is nothing to do with the fact that it was in 1977. It was something that happened in the 1990s, with a creature called Onslaught, which is all about the evil part of Xavier. And that a little part of me was like, ooh, this is the evil part of Xavier. Ooh,
right. So
this is interesting now. And then they destroyed it on the next page.
Right. So I never read, I think I had dropped off of X-Men by the time Onslaught came into the continuity. Do they reference this story at all?
They just reference that. Well, I think the main thing that they point out is that it's an evil part of Magneto that's in there. But after, with Xavier's powers and stuff, so I'm going, well, they don't really reference an evil part of Xavier that I can remember. It was a long time ago, though, 20 years ago. 30 years ago, actually, if it was 95, 96.
Yeah, the 90s,
And, so they don't reference the evil side of him. They reference the evil side of Magneto. I'm thinking this would be perfect. This evil side of Xavier being part of Onslaught as well just makes evil evil. No wonder he was a horrible creature.
Right.
But that was just me putting things in there that might not necessarily have been in there.
I wonder if the evil part of Xavier is the one who calls Scott a insolent, ignorant cur. When Scott's just trying to do his best and Xavier just mercilessly rips the crap out of him. This is like his escape. This is Professor Xavier's escape hatch. Like, this is his emotional, oh, look, Scott, I'm sorry. That wasn't me. That was my evil double. That was the evil part of me. That's not me. I love you, Scott. Now get out of here, you insolent cur. How dare you speak to me in such a way? But anyway, we have this bizarre explanation of the evil double or part of Xavier's personality is actually the one who created these doubles of the X-Men.
Yeah. And can do all sorts of other cool things like make chasms.
Yeah, so at this point, this is where it starts to, quote, explain what was going on. Not really, but apparently explain. And so now, let me ask you how you interpreted this explanation, especially in light of this scene on this page where this chasm just is created. And I think, in panel 3 here, Wolverine says, part of me part of it is telling me that this is all an illusion and that I'm really lying on the floor of the danger room. So, did you interpret this as this entire fight is taking place in their minds? Like nothing of this has happened at all. It's all in their minds.
Yeah, that would make more sense. Because some weird things happen in it. Like, Cyclops sticking to walls. Right.
So it's essentially a mass hallucination is what we're saying, right?
Yeah, that's what it seems to be.
So if that's the case, then I guess that can explain everything away, but to me, then I was thinking back to that page that I was mentioning earlier where Cyclops had his visor ripped off and the bizarre kind of fake out thing where it's like, well, isn't that sort of an elaborate thing to have happen in someone's mind that if the evil Xavier is making this all like, why go to the trouble of all that?
Yeah, just zap him.
I don't know.
Surely evil Xavier can just turn their minds off.
This is just so... This sapped my strength.
Well, the thing I took from it is that he was they've highlighted that he's the mastermind, and mastermind is a character that comes up later who's illusionist. So
okay, so you're taking that literally.
Really loose connection there, but I was grasping for straws. So.
Right.
So
God.
Xavier makes the old X-Men appear, and they just beat the hell out of this evil Xavier.
Yeah.
They just go to town.
So
that scene cracks me up. And then they all go pop. So yeah.
But then they all disappear.
And then this at the end.
And so now I'm assuming panel 3 on this final page, this is the real X-Men now. They're getting up. They've gotten up off the floor, where I'm assuming they were all just knocked out or in a trance or
that's what we've got to think.
Whatever.
None of it makes sense otherwise.
Yeah, that's the thing, is like, even if that was the story, that it was all a dream, why wouldn't you, to clarify that and make it clear to the reader that, yes, they were all asleep and they were all dreaming that this happened, which, by the way, I think is the lamest, like, really, it was all a dream. That's what we're doing here. Like, that's the one. That's the worst. I remember when I was like in grade 4 or something, and we had to write stories for like English, and our teacher said, please do not end your story with "it was all a dream," because even then, like, she was trying to tell us, like, that's lame, that's not a
That's
good
really
way
lame.
to end a story. And yet here it is, someone got paid to write this. I'm losing my mind over this thing. I'm so mad. I am so mad about this one.
Well, I'll just put it out there. It was all just a dream was actually one of the stories in Sidrus. But I will save Ryan. I will save Ryan. He drew it, but he did not write it. That was me. I did that. I obviously didn't have a teacher who told me, do not do that.
What?
All it was I wanted Ryan's art to be really out there. I couldn't think of anything else
Right.
but a dream, because his art is out there when he wants to be. So, yeah.
Well, I'm
Anyway,
sorry.
that's off track there.
I
I'm
didn't
just
I didn't
defending
mean to
Ryan.
throw shade. I didn't mean to throw shade at you. I didn't remember that. I know I did read that.
All good, all good. I just wanted to put it out there that it wasn't Ryan. We're not having to go at him. We're having to go at me. So
Now I feel horrible.
no, don't. You're right. It's a really lame way to finish it, and a few people have commented on that. So, and I've defended Ryan each time. I wrote it, not Ryan. Leave him alone.
So yeah, there you go.
The last
So
panel
next
bugs the
issue,
hell out of me.
it bugs you.
Yeah, it does. We're just like, oh, I've gone through that sequence again in my mind, and then suddenly I'm better from all the Lilandra stuff, or whatever her name is.
Right.
And I'm feeling at peace with the world. What the hell?
Yeah.
I relived my evil self trying to kill the X-Men, and that's made me feel really good about myself. I'm feeling better now.
Yeah. Doesn't make any sense.
They're really,
Makes
they're
zero
really grasping
sense.
at straws for this story.
Yeah. Yeah.
How can we connect it to the other story?
Yeah. It's terrible.
Oh,
But
gotta
one
stop.
thing, because when you look at the next issue, it's like Cockrum and Claremont are back, baby.
Oh,
And
big time.
boy, are they back. Like,
Yeah.
I think when we do the next issue, we're gonna see, well, this is the reason why they needed extra time to do the next issue, and they had to use an
sense.
inventory story, because the next issue is literally jam packed with story and characters and action. I couldn't
Awesomeness.
believe it. Like, I was reading the next one this afternoon, and I was just like, whoa, this is insane. Like, just anyway, we'll talk about that
Yeah,
one
it's an awesome story.
on
Yeah.
the next episode, but hold on to your hats for the next
Yeah,
one,
it's-
because it's great. It's great.
The next few are really good, actually.
Oh, awesome.
So this brings us to the question, Matt.
Right.
Through all this grasping at straws and silliness, and I don't want to say other words that sound like crap, but it was pretty much there.
Yes.
Did you come up with a band name at all?
Yeah, I didn't want to. I was really like down in the doldrums after reading this one, and I was like,
Yeah, I'm impressed that you came up with
now
one
I've
still.
got to go back through it, try and find what would make a good band name. So I found two
Oh, you found
found two.
two? Wow, I'm impressed.
that I will present to you, and you can choose which one you like better.
Mm-hmm.
So the first one is on page 10, which is, let me see, yeah, That one.
That one, yep. Where he's
No, next page. Maybe it was. Maybe I got the number wrong.
Yep.
So in the panel 6, Cyclops thinks Hammerlock, and so I thought Hammerlock. That's kind of a.
Page.
Oh yeah.
That's the only cool thing I can see on here, or
yeah,
Tight Beam Sonic Blast. That's
so I thought Hammerlock. That sounds like a good. Yeah. So the first choice, Hammerlock.
Hammerlock.
The next one, the other choice was on. I think it's on the last page.
Okay.
Yes, it is. It's on the final page of the issue. Panel 1. I'm going to go for My Demonic Doppelganger.
Ooh.
You got My Chemical Romance, My Demonic Doppelganger.
I like it. I'm going for My Demonic Doppelganger. I like it.
Okay. All right.
I like
that's the band name.
That's the lamest part of the story, but it's going to be the band name, God damn it.
We can lift some positive out of all the negativity. Nice.
Well, that's it for this week, everyone. Thanks for watching. If you'd like to add anything to this review, if you agree with what we said...
Tell us how wrong we were. Tell us how wrong we were.
Please tell us how wrong we were. Please tell us that
issue.
this was an awesome issue to you and how we're so wrong, and then explain it so that we can understand how we were wrong, because I don't get it. Like and subscribe. I hope you still want to do that after we rip this issue apart. And stay tuned to this channel for more uncanny conversations not like this one, because most of them are very positive and very enjoying of the comic.
What if this becomes our most viewed episode yet?
Yeah, you watch.
What if that happens?
Our next issue we'll be looking at is 107, which is, I looked it up, is October 1977, so there still was another 2-month gap. I was curious if this is where it starts going monthly, and that's why they needed to fill in, but it's not. Mm-hmm. So until then, I'm Siz. You can find me online at comx.net.au, that's comx.net.au. And Matt, where can people find your stuff?
You can find my comic at steamrollerman.com. Thank you very much.
Awesome. Well, in that case, see you everyone, and get ready for the next week when we go over an awesome issue.
Yeah, it's a doozy.
Yeah, see you then.
All right, see you, Siz.
See you, Matt.